Aloha, everyone. Thanks for being here. Today we will focus on the breath, especially the exhalation, and we'll use that magical moment of the exhale to feel all of the limbs unite into the core as we reach out and as we balance and we do all these expansive things. We'll be able to feel both the outer edges of our being and the very deepest core of our heart. So with that, I welcome you to spread out your blanket if you haven't already. At the very end, we'll have a restorative pose where having 2 blocks and 1 or 2 blankets will be nice. Any big cushions or bolsters work as well. With that, let's begin by turning to the right and gently starting to melt the body down onto the earth. Close the eyes if that feels welcoming. And bend the knees. Bring the soles of the feet to the earth. Notice if that changes anything in the weight of your pelvis and the length of the spine. And let yourself wiggle a little bit just to get some feedback between the floor and the spine. Imagine you're releasing a little bit of tension physically, but also any tension from the day. And then eventually arrive at stillness, but you don't ever need to rush to find your way there. Let yourself just be here. Of course, if the body offers you a suggestion in the form of a muscle saying like, I don't feel comfortable, you can always adjust. That's a big part of what we're learning to do in our yoga practice, to listen and respond and empower our body to support ourselves and communicate with us. You're welcome to step the feet a little wider and drop the knees in towards one another, and notice if you can release more deeply after that action. You might not have even felt the subtle work that it took to keep your knees pointed upward, but your body was working to do that. Feel that layer of release and imagine being able to release a little bit more effort in the breath, in the space of the mind. Try closing the mouth if it isn't already. And gently allow the tongue to rest in the roof of the mouth. Sometimes that even encourages you to lengthen through the back of the neck, gently tucking the chin. And as you allow the body to soften, notice if it's easier to tune into the flow of the breath. And we'll be spending some extra time noticing the diaphragm, the primary muscle of breathing. And so I invite you to rest your hands on the bottom of the rib cage and notice the gentle expansion that happens there as you inhale. And notice how the ribs gently pull back towards one another as you exhale. And the same thing it should actually be happening on the flip side of the body. So even though you can't put your hands there, see if you can feel that same expansion and then softening in the middle of the back, especially towards that bottom rib where the diaphragm attaches to the spine. And you'll know you're breathing evenly through the diaphragm if the low back doesn't increase its arch on the inhale. It might even feel like instead of arching, it's lengthening and there's more space between each of your vertebrae. And you're welcome to keep breathing in this gentle way with the hands on the rib cage. You're also welcome to apply a little extra pressure by bringing the knees into the chest, wrapping your hands around the shins, and continuing to breathe into both the front and back of the rib cage, but now with a little bit of restriction, right? The thighs are pressing into the belly, making it a little harder for the diaphragm to flatten downward. Just notice if that gives you a sense of feedback through the inhale. And see if that can encourage you to take a slower, smoother, fuller breath. And then bring all of those qualities to the exhale. Almost trying to feel the diaphragm in its entirety starting to suck back up into the rib cage towards the lungs as you exhale. And so as you're exhaling and the diaphragm is naturally lifting into the space of the rib cage and the lungs, it actually starts to pull on the psoas, a primary hip flexor and core muscle. And this helps the legs integrate into the rest of the body. This can be really helpful if you've ever had any hip issues or even knee or ankle pain. And so I invite you as you exhale to just notice any sensation in the hip crease, that place where the thigh is folding into the body. And then slowly start to stretch the arms and the legs out. So you're somewhere between the shape of the letter I and the letter X. Not a big expansive X, but not totally straight. Soften through the shoulders. You don't want to feel anything on the tops of the shoulders. And experiment a little. With your next inhale, reach the arms and legs apart in more of an expansive X shape. And then exhale, release, and do this a couple of times and just notice the quality of the breath and how the body feels as you inhale and reach out. This is what we're used to doing, right? Inhaling is always like, expansive, reach, open, lengthen. Nothing's wrong with that. Now let's try something different. Take your next inhale naturally with no movement. And as you exhale, play with reaching in that X shape and notice what changes. You might notice there's less doership. You can't push quite as far. Maybe you feel your joints a little less, which is a good thing. You might feel less pressure in the shoulders, less pressure through the spine. Keep playing with this pulsation, softening as you inhale, and then reaching out on the exhale. Maybe you have more of a connection to the deep core. Perhaps you can feel that hollowing out happening as the diaphragm sucks into the bottom of the ribs. And then relax completely. Hug the knees into the chest. Use your next inhale to curl the body up towards the thighs. And then exhale, release the head down. Stretch everything out into that big X once again. And try a couple of these on your own. Inhaling to lift, tucking into a ball. Then exhaling to reach out. And if you ever want to reverse the breath just as a point of comparison, you're welcome to. Next time you reach out, pause and hit play on the first track if you are using our playlist today. Make sure it is set to loop. And so now we'll do a similar sequence but add a little bit of rolling. So instead of tucking knees into chest while you stay on your back, start to tuck the knees into the chest as you roll on to the left side. Inhale through the back of the body, feeling expansive, feeling that low rib opening. And then as you exhale, roll onto the back, lengthening everything out, but notice the evenness through the body. Inhale, roll to the other side, curling into the fetal position. Slow, even exhale melts the body open into that X. And we're going to take a generous amount of time here, so start to flow at your own pace, and I do always invite you to slow down a little bit. Smooth out the motion. And notice that balance, that play of opposites as you inhale in the curled up position. You might simultaneously feel single point of awareness as you curl inward, and then the spaciousness of the breath. And the opposite is true on the exhale. You might notice how the exhale takes you into that single point, focusing at the heart center, but the movement itself reaches you in all directions. And no need to rush, but the next time you are in the fetal position on the left-hand side, pause there. And we'll add on our side-lying half moon pose. So we're going to practice this a few times. Imagine the floor is actually in front of you. So you'll kick out the left leg straight in front of you. Flex the foot because you're standing on your invisible floor. And then reach the hand towards the invisible floor. Okay, so that's your standing leg. And then on your next exhale, imagine pushing the foot into the invisible floor, letting the right hip start to open, letting the hand reach out without releasing the hip all the way on the floor. So it's going to take a lot of core support. Let's try that again. Inhale, fetal position. And then even slower this time, exhale to slowly open into your Urdhva Chandrasana, noticing the strength of the left leg. Take several of these on your own. Don't worry about how much the right hip opens. Instead, try to feel how supported the right leg is by the core and the diaphragm on the exhale. You don't want to build any tension in the right hip flexor. If you're doing too much, you're going to feel it in the front of the right hip. Try to do less. Let the breath support you, and let that feeling of ungripping and unclenching take over. The next time you curl into the fetal position, pause there, and then use your next exhale to open up, rolling onto the back. Let's add in our Apanasana, inhaling knees into chest, curl up. Exhale, big X. Next, inhale, roll to the right hand side. I know you can't see me now, but we're doing the same thing that we did before. So as you exhale, actually don't worry about the breath yet. Kick the right foot forward, invisible ground, reach the right hand to that space. And then on your exhale, start to push into the invisible floor and notice how the body naturally opens and expands. The right leg, or left leg rather, can go wherever it naturally does. And then inhale, fetal position. Slow exhale, plant the foot, and then let everything naturally open, and try to let go of any sense of where you want the top side of the body to be. Hello, welcome Laura, great to see you. And each repetition, see if you can feel the support more even through the body. Like the whole body is helping that left leg open and reach, and so it becomes lighter. And the next time you open into the side lying half moon, pause there and just let your body memorize this shape and this support, and breathe. And then inhale, fetal position one last time. Exhale, spread out into your X. Inhale, knees into chest, lift the body, feel the pressure building at the center. And then exhale, reach out one last time, and let's pause here and relax completely. Snow angel the arms down by the side so the shoulders and the elbows can be soft, and try to empty out in this moment. Just like at the beginning of class, let yourself arrive in your body-shaped footprint. Close the mouth, let the tongue gently press to the roof of the mouth, and notice the flow of the breath. Let your curiosity scan the diaphragm. And when the diaphragm is healthy and fully able to lift and lower, it actually massages the heart as well as other organs, but something about massaging the heart is so sweet. So find that gratitude for the complexity and intelligence of the body, so far beyond what we even know. And bring the knees into the chest, roll onto the left side, and gently press up. We're making our way to table. My favorite way to get there is to plant the hands and then to drag the knees underneath. And if you did it that same way, the right side of your body should be facing me. Take a moment to find your comfortable table, and you can turn sideways so your right side is towards me if it isn't already. Let's go to the next track. We'll go to the second track. I've been really enjoying this second track, so I actually remembered this week. Start to paw out the hands, letting the elbows bend gently. And even though it's a gentle movement, the elbows bending starts to activate the tricep. And you might feel how the arm integrates into the back of the shoulder. Let the neck be soft. Connect with the breath. And just like we did on the floor, see if you can use your inhale to expand the back of the body, letting the spine lengthen but not arch. And then let's lower one forearm at a time and gently start to draw some circles of shoulders around elbows. And the circles can be whatever size is useful to you. We're just waking up the shoulders from all directions. As the shoulders start to wake up, perhaps it's interesting to make your circles a little bit bigger, noticing more muscles in the arms and the back body engaging. And then start to circle the other way, varying the size of the circles, but just making sure you always are feeling what you're doing. Right? Movement without feeling isn't really useful. And let's come back onto our hands and take a moment to find your neutral spine, and then bring the right knee in a few inches from the hip. Push down into the right knee and just notice how the muscles in that leg engage, and then release. And do that a couple of times, letting the thigh and hip support you. The next time you push down, keep that pressure and start to glide the left leg back. Take a couple of pulses with the left leg without moving the hips, and you should feel some warmth building in the right leg. If the warmth isn't building, start from scratch. Play with bringing that knee forward, making adjustments, and pressing into it a little bit more. The next time the foot comes down, tuck the toes under, shift the weight into the left hand, and draw a nice big circle with the right hand, circling open towards me. And then as the arm comes back down, plant the right hand, shift the weight into the right hand, and open into a quarter moon shape, facing the other direction, allowing the hips to stack. Release that hand back down, and we'll do that a couple of times. So circle the right hand up and back, and then as the hand comes down, swap sides, opening up into your quarter moon. Move at your own pace. If you want to sync this with your breath, inhale for the spiral and exhale for the quarter moon. The next time you're spiraling, slow it down, and as the arm comes down, slowly start to slide the right leg back into a plank pose. Pause in your plank and just notice the sensation through the inhale, preventing any arch in the low back, and then that integrating feeling of the exhale. We'll try that sequence one more time. So lower the knees, slide the right knee forward, glide the left leg back, take your arm circle to the right, and then open to quarter moon to the left. Release back down, arm circle to the right, right into effortless plank. As the hand comes down, get ready to slide the right leg back and pause. And notice a sense of integration, especially through that right side of the body. Drop the knees down, press the hips to the heels, melt the forehead, palms face up, just like we did on our back. We've got a little extra pressure against the diaphragm here. So let's take several breaths naturally to just appreciate that extra work required. Oh, and it means the knees have to stay together if that's comfortable. If the knees go wide, you just don't get the extra diaphragm work. Notice that sense of pressure building as you inhale. And then that sense of integration as you exhale. I've been playing with the inhale in my own practice, and it really is a great moment to release tension as that pressure builds in the center of your body. It's almost like there's permission to let go of superficial muscles that are gripping. So if you know you've got an area in your body that's feeling tight, on your next inhale, imagine that pressure being so strong that all of the extra work becomes unnecessary. The neck can release, the jaw can release, the muscles in the low back or wherever you hold tension can all release. And then as you exhale and soften, that tension just melts away. And we'll float up to table and do that same sequence on the second side. So from tabletop, glide the left knee forward several inches, start to push down into the left shin and notice what engages in the left leg, and then release the pressure and just take a few pulses like that, pushing down and then releasing. Try to feel a sense of evenness in the left leg and spacious support in the left hip socket. The spine should stay neutral here. There might be a tendency to want to round into a cat. Try to keep the spine neutral even with that downward pressure. That's going to build stability and strength. Next time you push down into the left shin, glide the right foot back and take a few pulses with the right leg. So the right leg lifts, the pelvis stays steady. That's going to engage your glute. If the pelvis tips forward, you're just recruiting unnecessary muscles in the back, creating probably some tightness. The next time the toes come down, tuck the toes under, shift the weight into the right hand, big circle with the left hand forward, up and back. As the hand comes down, shift the weight into the left hand and start to stack open into your quarter moon. Right foot can stay up or down, whatever you want. And then we'll go between those two shapes. So release the right hand, inhale for the twist, and then exhale for that expansive reaching outward pose. And notice how the exhale keeps you tethered. It keeps you integrated. Nice. Take several more on your own, moving as slowly as you need to. If the wrists are feeling sensitive, you can always try this on forearms. It's actually a little bit harder, but totally doable. And we'll start preparing for our effortless plank pose. So on the next spiral to the left, you're getting ready. As the left hand comes down, press into it to glide the left leg back effortlessly. Pause. Take a couple of breaths. If this doesn't feel effortless, try lowering your knees. I'm sorry I didn't offer that on the first side. Bend the elbows a little bit. Make sure you're feeling springy and light. And then we'll repeat that process. So lower the knees down. Glide left knee forward, push into the shin. Glide right leg back. Take one pulse. Level hips. Drop the toes, circle left. Inhale. Plant the left hand open to your quarter moon on the exhale. We'll go back to the spiral. Preparing for weightless plank. Hand comes down and then glide the left leg back effortlessly, and notice the sense of integration through the left side or maybe even beyond. Notice how the inhale is slightly restricted because your abdominals are naturally engaging here. And so you get that diaphragmatic strength just by breathing fully in a challenging posture. Drop the knees. Release the hips to the heels, palms face up, or you can circle them around the body, placing them over the calves and resting the hips on top of the wrists for a little massage. I actually highly recommend it because I'm doing it and it feels really good. And then breathe some awareness into the diaphragm. Mouth closed, smooth, steady, even breath. And just imagine that movement of the heart riding up and down. Release the wrists, place them to either side of the face, tuck the toes under, and take some nice circles of hips around the heels to massage out the feet. Be extra vigilant with the big toes. In fact, push into the big toes to stabilize the big toe joint as you move, so you get a little more feedback through the feet and the arches, or the toes and the arches rather. Circle the other way. If it's comfortable, you don't want any pain here, but if it's comfortable, try bringing some weight into the heels. It can be a little bit. Your hands can stay on the ground, or you can even start to bring hands to the thighs. And then the most would be stacking the shoulders over the hips for a foot stretch. If you are trying the foot stretch, try to push the toes down as if you were pointing the feet, but you can't, right? Because the earth is there. But that pointing action is going to activate the muscles around the toes. And then bring the hands back down, lift the knees, curl up into a little ball. Make sure the head is an extension of the spine here. So don't just drop the head, but feel the back of the neck lengthen. Let the tailbone get really heavy, and notice if you can release some tension from the low back as you do that. And breathe naturally, but let the breath be a massage, and be open to discovering something with your breath right now in this moment. Let the heels start to drip towards the earth. Slowly push into the balls of the feet to lift the hips gently. Keep a deep bend in the knees so this feels really soft and there's no tension building in the hamstrings or the low back. Gently sway hips from side to side. And notice how the swaying impacts the low back as well as the hamstrings and even the muscles on the outside of the legs, all the way down to the outer ankles. As the hips sway, you can let the spine naturally follow that movement. If it feels good and you're quite, let's see, if the head is naturally perpendicular to the earth, it is okay to relax the muscles in the neck. But if the head is more forward, I don't recommend doing that. Anchor big toes, bend the knees deeply, feel the body resting on the thighs, and start to bounce the legs as if you're taking like little jumps. And imagine, actually don't imagine, just feel what's happening in the abdomen as you do that. You might have a little like, And then keeping big toes anchored, shift the weight into the heels and slowly start to roll up. You never want any discomfort in the rolling up, so you can support yourself with the hands if you need that support. And once you arise, pause. Let the weight sink evenly into the 4 points of the foot, inner and outer ball mound, inner and outer heel. See if you can visualize where the pelvis is in space and the shape of the spine. And then as you breathe, remember that back space expanding through the bottom rib, letting the spine lengthen on the inhale. And as you exhale, perhaps feeling that integration, that gentle, almost like suctioning of the thigh bones into the hip sockets as the diaphragm lifts. Feel free to grab a sip of water. I'm gonna do it. And then you can turn to face me, and we'll start with the sequence we did on our back. but now we'll try it from standing. So we'll make that soft X and be really soft with the shoulders here. So it's okay if the arms aren't like, in fact, you don't want them lifting away from the rib cage. Imagine almost like I'm throwing you like a big bouncy ball and you're catching it, and there's that sense of like the shoulders arriving on the rib cage. Yeah, nice. That totally worked. Pause there. And just notice your exhale here. And then on your next inhale, we'll do our standing fetal position. Turn to the right and start to curl in on yourself. Notice how the inhale helps you feel really supported here. And then as you exhale, open up into the soft X. Inhale, other way. Then exhale, soft X. And now on your own, and start to play with that. Moving slow and smooth and almost imagining you don't have muscles, you don't have bones, you just have one you that is moving evenly with all your 80 trillion cells, like a school of fish, just all moving in the same direction. If you want to, as you curl, the back arm can gently slide back like you're bowling, but with like a bowling ball made of a marshmallow. Take one more to each side. Imagine you're like a sparkler and you can feel the trail of all the movements from start to finish. We'll meet in the X. And then relax everything down. Shift the weight into the right foot. Anchor the right big toe and then bring some weight back into the heel and start to rock forward and back. You might notice when you come forward there's like a gripping of the toes. When you rock back, it might feel hard to keep the toes anchored, and that's actually good. We're trying to build that adaptability of the foot. The next time the weight comes back into the right heel, pause there and start to glide the left foot behind you, twisting to the right. This is called our curtsy. As you push into the right foot, slowly rise up, hover the left foot, and bring it to either the calf or the thigh. No hands, just for fun. And then set the left foot down, and we'll try that on the other side. So bend the left knee, start to rock the weight forward and back, noticing the action of the toes. That gripping is okay. See if you can feel the foot getting springy and adaptable, as if you were like a frog, right? And your foot could go over any surface and form to it. The next time the weight comes to the heel, bend a little deeper, start to spiral to the left. Let's actually try this first because I think it's kind of a complex movement. So let the right arm and the spine twist to the left and then glide the right foot back. Push down into the left foot, rising up into tree. Doesn't matter where the right foot lands as long as the left leg feels stable and that doesn't feel like uncomfortable on the knee. And now we'll repeat that a few times. So right foot down, bend the right knee into the curtsy, press into the right foot, filling up into your tree. We'll start to sync it with the breath, switch sides. The inhale takes you into the curtsy so you feel expansive even as the body compresses. And then the exhale helps everything unite as you reach out in your tree. So now continue on your own. And as you feel the need, you can come as deep into the curtsy as you want to. You're always welcome to hold either of the poses if it feels interesting and useful to you. Let's take one more to each side. Nice. we're all going to be warmed up to go bowling after this. After you're balancing on the left leg next, you can bring the right foot down, relax the arms, relax the mind. If it's comfortable, close the eyes and notice how steady you can be here with 2 feet on the ground. And we can go to the final track today. Well, we have a cool down track, but you can go to track 3 if you're following along with the music. So we'll go back to that first sequence and we'll add on our Urdhva Chandrasana. You're going to be so ready for it. And then if you feel up for it and you want to find a little complexity, you have the option from Urdhva Chandrasana to add on the curtsy and the tree, but that is going to be totally optional because I want it to be something you can flow through effortlessly and not be in your mind. So I'll layer it on, and I recommend to just stay where it feels fun and flowy and you don't have to think. So let's start by widening the feet. Exhale for your X. Heading over to the right. Inhale. Yes, last week I called this discus, but I guess this week it's bowler. Next, exhale, push into the right foot. Slowly let everything open. Doesn't matter how high the left leg lifts, just feel integrated here. Inhale takes you back into the bowler. Exhale, X, and we'll go to the other side. Inhale, bowler. And then exhale, press into the left foot. Imagine you're still on the ground, and this is so effortless. You're just kicking into that invisible floor for everything to open. Next inhale takes you into bowler. Exhale to the X. We'll do that one more time just like that, and you can keep going like that if you like it. Inhale, bowler. Exhale, Urdhva Chandrasana. Inhale, bowler. Exhale, X. Inhale, bowler. Exhale, Urdhva Chandrasana. Inhale, bowler. Exhale, X. Can keep going with that sequence, or you can stay with me and we'll add on. Inhale into bowler. Exhale, Urdhva Chandrasana. Inhale, curtsy, facing a new direction, right? Exhale, tree. And then inhale back to bowler, getting ready for the other side. Exhale to the X. Inhale, bowler. Exhale, Urdhva Chandrasana. You've got the option. You can inhale back to bowler or take your curtsy. And exhale, tree. Inhale for your bowler. And exhale to the X. And now I'm going to let you play with it on your own. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you can't remember, it is perfect as long as you're feeling in your body and you're enjoying a sense of connection with your breath. I'm going to observe. You can always add on. You can always subtract. Remember that basic pattern of exhale, X, inhale, bowler. You can always come back to that. And try to let go a little bit. Notice if the mind is kicking in. And see if you can just have fun being in your body. Noticing a sense of stability, connectivity. Nice, Anju. That looked so integrated. Jessie, that's a perfect Urdhva Chandrasana. And after your next Urdhva Chandrasana on the left side, you're balanced. We can eventually meet at center, but you don't need to rush, and if you're feeling it, keep feeling it. And I'm sorry, this music is so good. So from the middle of the mat, we could just have a little dance party. You can have like a little Peruvian flute if it helps you get into it. Krishna has a flute too. So you could also just channel Krishna here. And then let your movements get smaller and smaller, letting your awareness drop down into the center of the heart. Relax the arms, close the mouth, relax the face and the shoulders. And before we head back to the floor, I invite you to just walk around your space with whatever energy you want to walk. It can be slow and grounding and calm. It can be kind of bouncy. You can have your flute with you. Little swagger can help. And then let's all start to slow our walking down, and notice how as soon as you slow down, it's like you have to have a little more control. You have to actually use more muscles. Just feel that sense of strength and support. Start to walk back towards your mat. And you can go to the next song, our cool down song. So for our restorative pose, a bolster works, or a makeshift bolster with 2 blocks and 1 or 2 blankets wrapped on top. So you can set that up while you're more mobile. Oh, and actually, that could be a nice little seat for our malasana. So set up your bolster and then step the feet wider than the hips and start to lower the hips onto your support system. Take your time. Rock the weight from sit bone to sit bone and allow the thigh bones to gently move as the weight shifts. There might be a sense of the angle wanting to change, maybe the feet walking forward or wider, or the direction of the feet changing, and let each little shift be a clue into how the body wants to support itself here. The hands can come to the knees or whatever's comfortable. And then let the sits bones relax and just gently start to sway through the spine. Imagine the spine like a snake moving laterally. And the next time you sway over to the right, try to feel the muscles on the right side of the body sucking in to support the right side of the spine. And then let those muscles lengthen to sway you over to the left, and feel how the left side of the body can suction in to support the left side of the spine. And then that side lengthens. And play with that for a few repetitions, trying to feel both sides of the body working together. Can help you get a little more articulation through the spine. And then let the movement get less and less until you're at center. Release the right arm inside of the right leg, and then gently squeeze the arm and leg together, and just notice how that brightens the sensation in the arm and the leg, but you don't want to feel it in one place, right? You want to feel it really evenly. Use your next exhale to start to sweep the left arm open, letting the heart open. And then inhale, bring the hands together and take a couple of those pulses. As you inhale and close the hands, feel the shoulder blades sliding wide, feel the back body lengthen. And the next time the hands touch and the spine Just gently rounding. Take the left hand and ever so gently reach it forward, up and back, letting the whole spine open. At the top, bend the left elbow, let the shoulder drip down the back. Let the fingertips come all the way to the floor. And then we'll switch sides. So now left arm to inner thigh, gentle squeeze, really gentle, right? But try to feel a brightness in the left leg and the left arm, and then where they connect, right? The rib cage and the pelvis into the core. Use your exhale to sweep the right arm wide. And then inhale, hands together, gentle rounding. Stay long through the neck. And exhale to open. Then inhale to round. Last one. We'll meet with the hands together. And we'll add one big circle. So with the next exhale, circle the right hand forward. And then up and back. And once it starts to reach back, pause for a moment. Feel the front and the back of the heart expand. And then bend the right elbow. Let that arm and shoulder drip down. Fingertips graze the earth or your support system. Pause for a moment in the twist. And then gently untwist. Slide off of your support and over to the left so that it's on your right hand side. Pause your music. And then point your right knee forward so that the thigh bone lines up with the base of the block or the blanket. Stagger the left leg so it's not on the foot. You want to make sure that right foot is nice and free. And then just check in with the sensation in the left knee. You don't want there to be any pressure on the inside of the left knee. So you can try bending the knee more, pushing down slightly so the other muscles in the leg activate. We'll slowly make our way onto our prop and start by just lowering the right elbow for a moment. Notice if the right side of the rib cage wants to flare open, and just use your next couple of breaths to notice the exhale, lifting the diaphragm and letting the rib cage and the core tighten. And then slowly walk the hands down, releasing the right ear down onto your bolster. And mine is pretty high. Just to give you a sense, you definitely don't want to feel like this is a far way to go. Make any adjustments. You can always bring your blocks to the other side, or you can add a fold in your blanket, which I think I am going to do. And then start to push the right leg down. Oh, the extra fold was really nice, and I didn't know I needed it until I felt it. So let's all try the extra fold. And then once you're resting again, gently push the outside of the right leg down into the floor so you feel the outer right hip engage, and you might feel the side abdominals engage and the ribs gently knit. And you can release that effort, but try to feel that sense of everything being connected as the right side lengthens, because we are in a spiral here. Close the mouth, tongue to the roof of the mouth. Check in with the arms. I like to hug my prop system. It feels really comforting and supportive in my arms and shoulders, but just find a place where it feels like everything can be really relaxed and there's no pressure in the joints. And this next option isn't going to be for all bodies, so only do this if it feels very easy and gentle. But with the bottom arm, so that right arm, you can reach back behind you so that you can reach for the top leg, the left foot. holding the ball of the foot or the arch of the foot can help you get a little bit more connection between the psoas of that left leg and the diaphragm. And you don't want to feel like you're in a deep stretch. Instead, should feel like you can fall asleep like this. When you wake up, you feel awesome. Close the eyes if that's comfortable. And start to feel the rise and fall of the breath. And we did a lot with some pressure on the front of our diaphragm and awareness on the back of the diaphragm. And now we have pressure on the side. So notice the sensations through the right side of the rib cage. And that pressure on the right side of the diaphragm. And see if you can still feel that fullness and evenness, not just expanding in the belly, but also expanding downward into the resistance of the block and backward into the bottom rib. And we'll just take one more minute here. And to come out, first release the foot. Gently press into the hands. Take your time starting to lift the spine. And then eventually kick the legs forward and pause for a moment in Dandasana. I always find it interesting to feel what has occurred in the body through that pose. It's a pretty profound pose. And then when you can add in the arms too by gently, that moment where you catch the giant bouncy ball from before, and just notice you can feel it all the way through the right side or anywhere. And then use your big strong arms to move your props over to the other side. And so now the left thigh lines up with your prop system, and then the right leg comes underneath the left foot. Take a moment to make sure the feet and knees are comfortable, and you definitely want to make sure there's no pressure in that right knee. And then lower the left forearm and take a moment just to start to become aware of the right leg. There's some lengthening starting in the outer right leg and right hip, a little rotation in the rib cage. Gently press the right leg down, feeling that connection. Notice as you press the right leg down what happens in the core and the rib cage, maybe even the left shoulder. And then start to melt the body onto the prop, bringing the left ear. I was noticing that the block was a little too hard on my ear, so feel free to make a little pillow if you've got some extra real estate on your blanket. Just curl it up to support the head better. And then take a moment to figure out what your arms want to do, either hugging the support system or gently relaxing the forearms down. Just make sure there's no pressure in any of the joints. You can take one more moment to gently press the outer edge of the left leg down, feeling the connection through the spiral line of the body from the outer left leg into the left hip, maybe even across to the right side of the rib cage. And then let everything relax as long as you feel supported. Give yourself permission for little wiggles. And then if you chose to grab the foot, you can try that here, reaching the bottom arm straight down, bending the top knee. And again, you don't want it to feel like a stretch. It should feel really gentle. And if it doesn't, then today is not the day to do it. And that's okay. This pose is very beneficial with or without the foot grab. Come to the breath. And just explore the sensations in the diaphragm and the left rib cage. Maybe you can even feel that gentle heart massage that occurs with each breath. We'll take one more minute. And release the foot if you've grabbed it. Take your time setting up the hands in a supportive way. Gently, slowly press up. Take a moment to kick the legs forward, just letting yourself absorb and notice any spaciousness you've allowed to be revealed in the body. Option to float the arms if that helps you connect with the whole body. And now we can prepare for Shavasana. So I recommend using one of your blankets rolled up behind the knees, I should say. And the other blanket can be nice as a headrest. If you are using it as a headrest, I'm not going to do the really complicated one, though you are welcome to if you've done that with me before. But it's nice to stagger the folds so that the shoulder blades rest on the bottom and then the head rests on something that's a little thicker. So I'll demonstrate that. So it is nice to have the shoulders also lifted and then the head lifted slightly higher but not dramatically. And this just helps the trapezius muscles stay relaxed. Take your time doing all the things. And then when you're ready, take a moment to scan the body and make sure there's no areas that are talking to you. If you feel any little twinge of something, it's worth it to wiggle around, change your positioning, widen the feet, roll the blanket up more, whatever you think. And usually once you make the adjustment, there will be some kind of like, And then see if you can start to release the physical body. Know that it's safe, it's taken care of. And you don't need to focus on it. And let your awareness drop into the breath. And something I cued a little bit physically, just noticing as the inhale wants to reach you outward, trying to feel the center point of the heart. And as the exhale wants to collapse you to that center point, try to feel as expansive as possible. So you're always juggling the both, the deepest inward awareness and the most expansive outward awareness simultaneously. I invite you to play with that as we rest in Shavasana. Take your time. Let yourself be. Notice any tendency to rush or move really quickly, or to already be on to the next thing, and see if you can feel the part of you, that deep inner space that has been revealed through your practice, and try to stay connected to that space as you start to make gentle movements without losing that center. See if you can feel that center and the breath and the body all at once, and start to explore their interactions as you gently travel, however you like to travel, to come to seated. Take your time. Enjoy the pathway. And then eventually, when you've arrived at upright, take your time setting up a comfortable way to sit. And after all the awareness that you've built over the course of our class, you might notice certain areas that feel light and supported, or maybe little modifications you have to make to find that space. I invite you to put your awkward foot forward, right? There's the one you always have forward. Try the other one, and then take your time to wiggle around and adjust, because your seat might be very, very different, and that's okay. And then once you've found a supportive way to sit, let the body start to relax. You can close the eyes or gaze at a single place. Close the mouth, tongue to roof of mouth, jaw relaxed. And start to connect with the natural breath flow. And at first you might feel the physical sensations of the breath that we've been focusing on. Just that full multi-directional expansion, forward, back, and sides as you inhale. And the gentle suctioning of the exhale as the diaphragm lifts and everything becomes a little taut. And see if you can start to feel beyond the physical aspect of the breath. And imagine that to receive the breath more fully, you do not need to change anything physically. It's really about being more receptive. Imagine you're drinking in the energy, the prana of the breath. And the physical breath doesn't change, but the way you experience it does. And I invite you to link the natural breath mantra to this exploration, listening for the sound or repeating the syllable hum as you inhale and sa as you exhale. If you aren't quite sure how to connect to the breath beyond the physical, the mantra is the key. In the yogic tradition, the mantra is not separate from God consciousness. It fully is God consciousness. And so are we. And so with each repetition of the mantra, open to that possibility that you are God consciousness and that the mantra is God consciousness. And the more you can open to that, the more real it becomes for you. Though it's always true, it's nice to experience it for ourselves. And the nature of God consciousness is it's blissful, it's joyful, it's radiant. And so as you dive into this experience, allow that true nature to bubble up. Notice any sense of contentment or joy or sweetness or however it manifests for you. Might just be a little glimmer at first, and just dive into it. It's like the tiniest crack in the door letting light in, and you just have to open the door. And the blissful state of pure consciousness is already within you. And so to get there, you can relax and you can trust. And we call it getting out of the way. It's like if the mind is telling you that something is more important than supreme consciousness, for the next 5 minutes, refuse to accept that. Try to feel an excitement for discovering your true nature. And though excitement and curiosity and enthusiasm can help you get there, you have to stay gentle and relaxed. So keep the breath natural and just imagine floating on the mantra. And the mantra knows the way, so just rest all of your attention and let it gently guide you into this vast, blissful inner state. Gently bring your hands together at the heart and notice if that gentle sensation at the heart can help you fuse all the layers of your being together, this deep inner space of supreme consciousness, and the constant flowing consciousness of the breath, and the physical body through which we get to dance through the manifest realm. And ever so gently bow your head, letting those realms merge. You can gently smile, allowing the blissful quality of your inner dimension shine outward. Thank you so much for sharing this practice. Namaste.